Hey guys, my name is Sal. This is our first podcast. Our podcast name is called Critical Minds. What's up, Braden? How are you?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm pretty good, pretty good. All right, so what we're gonna do is that we're just gonna start off with introducing ourselves. This is like our first like introductory episode. So from here, essentially, my name is Sal. Obviously, I grew up in New Jersey. I'm originally from Egypt. Don't like lived there for like the first half of my life, and now I came here, and now obviously I started doing different things. Right now, I had experience in sales. Also, I did more. I have more experience in personal training. And me and Braden were interested in many topics, depending on like what's the topics that we're going to be talking about today, and we're going to give you a quick overview about what we're going to be talking about. Now it's Braden's time to introduce themselves. Obviously, you guys gonna know us throughout like the time that you're gonna see us pop up in these episodes with different people and talking about different issues to be able to kind of help the world with whatever we can, you know. And Braden, yeah, steal the mic, man.
Awesome. Great introduction, Sal. So, yeah, we're Sal and Braden in the Critical Minds podcast. And pretty much what we're going to do is exploring a wide range of topics, including comedy, psychology, relationships, conspiracy theories, ancient civilizations, and more. I am a psychology student at Brock University, and I go there and study there full time as well. And so I guess my expertise is in psychology. Sal is also a certified personal trainer, so he's more of like the fitness stuff, but he also is interested in ancient civilizations, aliens, money, that sort of thing. So that's what we're going to be doing for this podcast. I'm very excited to be doing this. So yeah, let's get started with the topics. So first of all, relationships. What do you have to say about relationships, Sal?
Yeah, well, I think relationships are a crucial part in our world. Right now, what's happening, it's like a lot of the times like we have a lot of propaganda stuff that try to kind of push us in a certain direction, to kind of like think when it comes down to like what's the political correct thing to do. And I feel like we're losing a lot of like the reality of how we should be seeing these things. So I think like as people become more critical thinkers and start seeing things how they really are instead of like they have like a romanticized version of like how things should work. Like that's when we get success. But what do you think, Braden?
Yeah, relationships is probably for me the area of greatest fulfillment. There's three kind of pillars to relationships, I guess. There's, intimate relationships, family relationships, friends relationships, and then you can include work relationships as well. So we're going to be talking about how to master each of those areas. Just a little tip here. Honesty is usually the best policy. That's kind of how it goes in relationships. Pretty obvious, pretty uh, self-evident, if you will, but a lot of people still don't apply it. So yeah, that's relationships. Let's move on to conspiracy theories. So conspiracy theories. What do you have to say about that, Sal? Do you think conspiracy people who believe in conspiracy theories are just low IQ? Because that's what the data says. But what do you think?
Well, I think bottom line is that a lot of people have this issue with like, why would you concern yourself with conspiracy theories? And that, it's just focus on making your own money and like don't worry about anything else. But that's, how society crumbles, like that's how people get killed. Like if we see like even throughout history, when people decide to like have this like a group think and like decide to hate another group or not even care about other people. And that's how we have this like gap in our society with like people not caring about what happens to other people in the process of them getting their goal. So it's good to have like some sort of critical thinking skills to be able to kind of like tell the world what's happening, and at the same time also like spread the love, you know? So I think like as we think like, and I'm not saying every conspiracy theory out there is like legit, but there is a lot of ones out there that have a lot of evidence, like literature and also factual information. What do you think, Braden?
Yeah, I think a lot of conspiracy theories now it has to be falsifiable, meaning proven wrong, which a lot of conspiracy theories aren't. But for example, things that were conspiracy theories are now just fact. Like for example, it was a conspiracy theory with Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew visiting the island and all of that. That was a conspiracy theory, and now it's just a well-known fact. So some conspiracy theories are just like the flat Earth conspiracy theory. We're not really going to talk about that just because the evidence is so strong in the direction that the Earth is round. But we are going to talk about, more controversial conspiracy theories as well. Let's move on to ancient civilizations. What do you have to say about that?
So ancient civilizations is a really interesting one because as history moves forward, you know, we could see a lot of issues with lost technologies. We could see a lot of research being stopped from like essentially being explored. We could see that in Angkor Wat, um, you know, and we could see that with I'm sorry, I apologize. Göbekli Tepe, we could see that. That in Turkey, they, you know, they have a lot of, you know, exploration and they stopped that. And now there is issues with that. And as things progress, we can see, you know, more and more things that pop up. And it's not like, you know, for like right now we're in April and you know, in the 2025. So like the recently there was like the pyramid thing that came out with like the pillars and all these different things. And you know, interestingly, it does come up when there is a major event that happens and which in the US like essentially like not necessarily that like it's because of us, but right now there's a lot of major political issues. So that's what a lot of people are saying. It's to diverge that problem into more like revealing more ancient civilizations. But I think we can dive into that and not to take like the full time here. I want to hear what Braden has to think about that.
Well, ancient civilizations are obviously very interesting. One of the criticisms, of course, is that they lack empirical evidence. They lack, um, I guess, like a body of an alien, or I guess. But the thing about it is, it's not that black and white. So we're going to be looking into the evidence for that and to see if there's actually any merit to those claims. Next is aliens. Now I'll just actually, Sal, go ahead. Um, and then I'll just say my bit after. But I have an interesting thing about aliens.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sounds good. So, yeah, so for aliens, we can see as time progresses that there is more and more evidence that do support the fact that there are other life forms, especially as we look at big corporations and where they allocate their resources from the Rockefeller organization to NASA to the CIA, we can see that they invest a lot of money into research and exploration, but they never release this data to the public. And throughout history, we've seen like multiple people that come out and they say the same thing, and it's like that there is like uh, evidence out there, but you know it's being suppressed, and the governments don't want to talk about it, but they never tell you why. They never give you an answer, and that's really what we want to discuss in this podcast to be able to kind of find more recent evidence or any way that we can also expand on that topic. What do you think about that, Braden?
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. I was pulling up something on my phone here called the is it Fermi paradox? Fermi paradox. And pretty much what it is the discrepancy between the lack of conclusive evidence of advanced extraterrestrial life and the apparently high likelihood of its existence. Meaning that the chances that aliens have visited us is extremely high, but the fact that we haven't found any evidence of it, it's almost like a sort of cognitive dissonance thing where it's just like, there's so little evidence for it, or at least from what we know from a sort of societal perspective. But the chances that they've actually visited us is extremely high, meaning that maybe the government is, hiding something from us. Even when Barack Obama was asked if there's aliens, he wouldn't answer the question. So the chances that there are aliens, and again the controversial, I don't know if you guys remember Area 51, but that was a while ago, and uh, it's so secretive that you wonder why are they trying to hide? They must be hiding something. Now, I don't know that for certain. I'm not going to, say that as a conclusive statement, but just, if there's smoke, then there's probably fire type of thing. Anyways, let's get to the next one, which is money, financial freedom. What do you have to say about that, Sal?
So, Braden, before we start that one, I just want to add one little piece, and that's from the previous topic, the aliens topic. And I feel like I just wanted to conclude with like that at the end of the day, like, you see it throughout like the entire world, and it's not just in Canada or the United States or, just a few countries. It's throughout like the governments around the world, from Russia to China to all these big, governments. And essentially, like they do, multiple people come out, whistleblowers, and they do a lot of, talking when it comes down to these different things. But that's just something I wanted to conclude with. But I could start like the money now. That we cool?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Okay, sounds good. So I think personally, like people don't care about other people getting wealthy. That's a general statement. But like because society nowadays is built on competition, and the whole point is that it's not to kind of say that competition is bad or anything like that, but it's just to say that we need to have more um, top uh, thinkers out there. So we need to educate people on like figuring out like how to do win the financial game, right? So like talk about all these different things. And I personally think that finances is how you were able to kind of start that dream, because you need to have that first step, like you need the action and you need the resources to take that step, and sometimes that can be difficult, especially for some people if they lived in like poverty all their life. And so that's the thing. So we're gonna be talking about like all these different topics with people that have done and lived these things, and also like people that had you know, um, some experience behind that. But what do you think about that, Braden?
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. Um, we're not, we don't claim to be experts in the financial business. I mean, we're both not, billionaires, but we are going to be bringing people on that have contributed a lot to their financial success, and we're going to be interviewing those people and picking their brains. And yeah, so we're going to be interviewing likely millionaires or people that are very young that have achieved financial freedom. And not only that, we're going to be picking their brains on how other people can do it too. So if it was just, we're not going to be interviewing someone who just won the lottery. We're going to be interviewing people who actually achieved financial success through their own merit, and they know how to, if they lost all of their money, they would know how to repeat that success. Um, so that's pretty much that. Now, probably the most important topic we're going to be talking about is spirituality. What do you have to say about that, Sal?
Well, I think spirituality nowadays, Braden, that it's missing, and not necessarily like a specific religion we're going to be talking about, but generally speaking, like the fact that a lot of people feel disconnected from just you know um, you know, uh, having a connection with a higher power, not necessarily a specific religion, but or even like your higher self. Some people call it like so many different names. Like some people call it higher self, some people call it God, some people call it source. so many different ways like to say it, like Allah, we have Yahweh, we have all these different like, kind of religions out there. So I think like as we look at things objectively instead of like having to come from like a specific political point, like I'm a Christian, I say this, or I'm a Muslim, I say that, or I'm a Jewish, I say that, or whatever it is, Buddhist, so on. I think like we can come to a common understanding instead of this conflict of like who's right kind of thing. But what do you think about that, Braden?
Yeah, I think spirituality is probably the most important topic. And I think the reason for that is it avoids nihilism. And basically, what nihilism is that everything is meaningless, there's no point to anything. And if you actually think, if you're just completely materialistic, then there really isn't, I mean, I don't know what you think about this, Sal, but there really isn't any purpose if it's just a purely materialistic universe. You come into the universe and then you die and then that's it. And there's no higher purpose, there's no meaning, there's no anything. So spirituality or connecting to a higher power just kind of gives your life, for a lot of people at least, it gives their life meaning and purpose. And so that would be a wonderful thing. So yeah, we're going to be talking about that, bringing in people from different religions like Christianity, Islam, um, even the pagan gods and goddesses, those sorts of people, and we're going to bring them in, see what they think, how they're. It's not necessarily like spirituality is exactly identical to religion, but there is some correlation there. Okay, the next is this is a very broad category, but the next is self-improvement. All like you could argue that all of these are self-improvement, especially spirituality, relationships, money, that is self-improvement. But is there anything you wanted to add to that, Sal?
I think to have a quick touch on that is that we're gonna really be diving into what's actually like helping and what's taking away, because a lot of it can be like very like just like read this book and like you would see like maybe like that book is like different name, but there is like 20,000 copies with different names, different titles, but it's still the same like contents. So I feel like that's we're gonna be like, with to kind of keep it more like straightforward. Like a lot of it is like mental masturbation. It's like very yeah, it's just what they want you to keep reading, keep learning, but it's you're learning the same thing in a different way. So I think like we're gonna be really cutting down the fat when it comes down to like what's actually like the things that work instead of like a repeated narrative of like things that are just being said in a different way. So that's I really like that's my goal, and I want us to kind of like make sure to get the things that gives the results instead of the things that are just like kind of this like theoretical stuff that don't even work.
Exactly. And just my take on that is I've been into self-improvement since I was probably 13 or 14 years old. I bought it started with Tony Robbins, Anthony Robbins, and I went to Unleash the Power Within when I was 15 years old. And then that transitioned to my passion in psychology. And so back then I wanted to be a life coach, and now I want to be a psychotherapist. So it is a pretty similar career path, but there are some nuances. I guess psychology and is a bit more hands-on, bit more tangible, bit more evidence-based, whereas self-help can you don't really know what to follow and what's right. Um, the next is psychology. I know we already touched on this, so we'll keep it brief. What do you have to say about that, Sal?
Psychology. So I think psychology is a great way to be able to understand the brain, and one of the biggest things to be able to kind of move forward with, resolving issues. I think as long as you can use that uh, in a good way to be able to kind of have an order within your mindset, I think is a good thing. I think you can take it too far, where you can overanalyze everything and kind of just start like thinking like just because you have a symptom that means that you're sick, by extension. But I think we should, if you kind of if we take it as a tool instead of just like it's the end all be all. Like if we take it as one of the tools that can help us understand and have a better healthy life, I think like it'll be good. But nowadays like science, they try to like the modern science like that. There's political interest in it. They try to push a specific thing when it comes down to anything psychology based. Like you have to make sure like how you're using it and everything is labeled as like a very like it's very tied down to like medications and pharmaceutical industry. So you got to be very careful with like when you're talking about like psychology, that you're not kind of connecting it with medications, depending obviously who you're talking with, right? Like there's different experts. But not to take away too much from your time, Braden, I just want to get your point of view also, because that's like a very complex topic.
Yes, and with things like depression, it has been proven that CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, is actually, which is a much more sort of naturalistic approach to life. That is much more, that is actually better. It's equivalent or better than psychotropic. Psychotropic? Is it psychotropic? No, I think that's more. No, I don't like. I just mean psychiatric medication, like antidepressants, SSRIs. Those work, but they're not as effective as CBT because CBT, you have the tools that you learn for life, whereas, psychiatric medication, you don't really learn any tools. You just kind of affect your brain chemistry. Whereas in CBT, you kind of learn to do that naturally. Um, so, and then I'm also a psychology, I already mentioned that, but I'm also a psychology student at Brock University. So that's what I study. So, I wouldn't say I'm an expert by any means, but I know my way around the material, if you will. The next is a comedy. So, what do you have to say about that, Sal?
So yeah, so for me, I do have situation with comedy where I think honestly comedy is a great like healing tool. Also, it's a great thing to have, but like it forms just better connections. So, because even as we see in like dating, like we can notice like like uh, well let's say like not dating, but let's say relationships is like as people begin to laugh, they start forming connections, right? Like and they start like kind of getting closer to each other. So even in marriage counseling, like laughter is actually one of the marks that if laughter disappears from a relationship is one of the biggest marks that that relationship is deteriorating and that it's leading towards divorce. So we really want to be like looking at like all these different things, and at the same time, like me and Braden, we always like to kind of have a good laugh, so we like to joke around all the time, and even we
100%.
yeah, and it's not like that. Also, we don't take our life seriously, but I think we appreciate the good moments also. What do you think about that, Braden?
100%, yeah. Because I kind of want this to be similar to what other people are doing, especially, Joe Rogan, and where we kind of take inspiration from him. So that's kind of what we're trying to model ourselves with, except just a little bit of a twist. It's going to be hard to beat him though, that's for sure. Um, okay, the next is physical health and mental health. And before that was also science. We already kind of talked a little bit about science, but pretty much just I think the key thing there that we'll say is that, things have to be based on evidence and based on sufficient reason and not based on, whim or emotion. What do you think about that, Sal?
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like that definitely like there's a certain time for emotion and there's a certain time for logic, right? So like when we talk about science, definitely like that's like something where we need to take out emotion from, because we're just going to be talking about hard facts here, like things that are scientifically proven. Obviously, like there is research that get falsified, so we're gonna look at it from like a way that is like a critical thinking standpoint instead of just like this is what the science says kind of thing. Obviously, by talking to experts and talking to people that have experience in the field. But I think, yeah, it's we need to look at ways to be able to kind of see the truth, you know?
Exactly. Okay, we'll just put these two together, physical health and mental health. Now, I already mentioned that Sal is a certified personal trainer, and so that's I guess physical health, and then I study psychology at a university, so that's more mental health. But we're more than just a label. I'm more than just like a psychology student at a university. Sal's more than just a personal trainer, a certified personal trainer. Um, but you want to what's your take on that, Sal, on those two
Yes.
topics?
Okay. So like, yeah. So definitely, like, I think that there is a validity there when it comes down to that when you move your body, you engage like more of your nervous system. Let's just say that, and you become just better. Your physiology, like, essentially it changes, and that helps you even become smarter, like science according to science. And obviously we could like go dive into like more research to support that. And at the same time, it is, as people start moving, they get happier, there's less stress, also. It's just like, people are not meant to sit down in front of a computer for like 9, 10 hours a day and like not talk to anybody. Like, that's not like, that's why if we look at like the worst punishment that a prison can give, it's usually going to be solitary confinement, which is basically someone that can go anywhere and someone that can talk to anybody. And that's why it does cause depression, and that's why it does cause suicide. You know.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, that's pretty much it, guys. The only other topic I was thinking of during this conversation was politics. Uh, I don't know if you want to elaborate a little bit on that, Sal, or even if it's worth it. But you can leave it and also leave your suggestions in the comments below, and we'll definitely take a look at that as well. If you want us to cover a topic, we can, because we're going to be finding people all across the globe for specific topics. So, um, but these are just kind of an introductory topics, and then we'll rather remove or expand on them as time progresses. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much it on my end. Thanks if you made it to the end, you're fucking amazing. So, you know, that's that's awesome. But definitely stay tuned for sure. What do you have to say, Sal?
Yeah, I mean, thanks guys for watching this. If you guys obviously like have certain thoughts, like Braden said, like just let us know. And at the same time, we're happy to speak with you and like kind of discuss any topics you guys might be interested in. For regarding the politics kind of side of things, I think, like, just to end this, I feel like that, there's going to be multiple different viewpoints out there, and like me and Braden, we look at things in an objective way, to be able to kind of like know the truth, and me and him, we go back and forth about these different like opinions. So I think like nothing is off the table here, but what we can say is that we look at things objectively instead of like we involve like feelings in facts, because it doesn't really like change what's happening.
Exactly. Exactly.
So that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you for watching this episode of Critical Minds. This was our introductory episode. Let's just say that. And Braden, you have anything to end, or we good to go?
We're good to go, brother. Thank you guys so much.
All right, guys. Yeah. Bye,
Peace.
guys. See ya.